Welcome back to another video on how to animate your Lego creations you've created in Studio with Blender. So the first thing you need to do is be able to take your model out of Studio and bring it into Blender. There's a couple different ways to do that. I'm going to show you one that is really easy and very, very simple to import and export your models. When I first started trying to do Lego animation in Blender, I found the suggested advice was to take your model and import it into Mechabricks, then export it from Mechabricks and bring it into Blender through that method. The problem with that is if you're using rare parts at all, they're not going to be available in Mechabricks. And when you import into Mechabricks, you'll find that it switches some of your bricks around and you have to spend some time fiddling and trying to fix them. Also, if you've used any custom parts, they are not going to be available in Mechabricks. So it really makes it challenging to use Mechabricks in this fashion if you're doing anything outside of just using common parts. Thankfully, when I was explaining this to my friend James Prey over in Head Full of Bricks, he had suggested that I look up a Ldraw Importer that was available, and I was unaware of this, so I immediately went and downloaded it and tested it, and it works absolutely perfect. So I'm going to show you in this video how to use that Ldraw Importer. In the description below, you'll find the link to the download. Okay, so when you follow that link, you'll be brought to this page, and you can scroll through it and read how to install the plugin. I won't go through that part with you because it's already well explained. Before we jump into Blender, we've got to go into Studio and see how to export those files. Just to let you know, for those that don't know, I am a freelance Lego commission designer, which means I can take your design and turn it into reality in brick form. I've done all sorts of designs from business to personal and large to small, so if you have a project in mind that you would like to commission me for, my contact information is in the description below. As well, I produce instructions for other Lego designers, so if you have a mock that you wish to have instructions produced for, you can get in touch as well. Also, don't forget about the Studio Lego Designers Facebook community. We have over 1,500 members now, and it keeps growing every day. There are lots of great conversations going on and people asking and getting answers to their questions, and others displaying their works they've created in Studio, as well as lots of people sharing files and being able to help one another out. So it is a fantastic resource for anybody that uses Studio. This is a train I did on commission a few weeks ago, and I did a little promo segment with an animation for YouTube, and I'll put the card up there so you can take a look at it. There's one section where I do a whole lot of different views of that train in Blender, so I will be using this train again as an example to show you how to do things like that. First thing what you're going to want to do is export your model, so you're going to go to File, Export As, and Export as Ldraw. Before I go any further on this, if you want to have different sections of your model animated different ways, first thing you're going to want to do is turn them into submodels like I have done here, where all of these sections are different submodels. As well, there's parts on the inside that I wanted to also be animated, so I have created those as different submodels as well. When you do that, what you're going to want to do is open a new file for each submodel and then export each submodel separately as its own file. Another thing to note is when you have custom parts, for instance, these rails that I have done in Ldraw where I flexed them, they will not register properly as a Ldraw part, so they won't import into Blender like the rest of the model will. So what you're going to have to do is, for those parts, export them directly from Ldraw as their own .dat file, and then you can import that .dat file into Blender and add your custom parts in that way. So let's take it over to Blender now. First off, as always, when you're working in Blender, you just want to get rid of that block that's in the middle. And if you followed everything properly for the Ldraw Importer, you're going to go to File, Import, and the last option for me is Ldraw. From here you can choose which file you want. I've gone through and created a different file for each sub-element, as I mentioned before. So I've put these all in their own file called Train Assets. I would recommend doing the same thing if you have a model that has more than one part to it. Then go and create a folder specifically for your animation so that you can keep it organized. So I'll just grab the front cab, and then you go down to Import Ldraw Models. Now we have the front of our train in the scene. You'll notice that our background color changed from black to gray, and we are not going to want to have that gray background. If you're doing any effects in the background of Blender, or you want to render your animation out as transparent, then we don't want this background there. So what you can do is go to the top right hand corner, and there is this Lego ground plane, and we can just delete that. So right click on it and delete. And now we have our normal Blender background. So what you're going to do is go through and import each part of the model and assemble them by dragging them to where they need to be. If you need help with that, there's lots of Blender tutorials showing how to move objects around in Blender. I won't get into rehashing those here. It's a very simple procedure once you figure out how to do that. When you bring in each segment, make sure to group it so that you're moving all the parts of that segment as one rather than as separate parts. It will make your animation go much faster. I covered how to do that in the original video I did about animating in Blender, so I will put the card up for that. When you group everything, what you're going to get is a collection like here in the corner, where I have a bunch of different collections that can move all at once. Now I'm going to take you through doing some simple animation. Let's go to the animation tab so I can show you real quick everything that happens in this animation, and I will walk through it with you. In this screen you will see what the camera is going to be seeing during the animation, so follow along here. So here we have all those submodels lifting up, and then we move the camera, we bring the submodels all back into place on the model, and then the rest of it is simply rotating and moving the camera around so you get different angles and perspectives on the train. And then the very last one, we're going to move the train towards the camera. So to make these parts move, first of all, you're going to go into the collection over here, and you're going to find the file that contains your submodel. Then you want to go into Object Properties, because in this case all we're going to want to do is alter the location of that submodel. When you determine what way you're going to want that object to move, either in the X, Y, or Z location, you can click on the little diamond that's beside it, and that will set the keyframe. Next, in your dope sheet, you're going to want to go to the time frame where you want that part to be at its highest point, or where it's done its movement. And then you will click on the little diamond that is beside that variable, and that will set the end keyframe. And as you move your marker back and forth now, you can see that that part is raising up and down in the air. And again, the same thing for the next submodel. All I did was click to set the keyframe at the 5th frame, and then at the 25th frame is where it reached the height that I wanted it to. For all the different camera effects, all you need to do is click on the camera and rotate it how you wish, or drag it out to make the field of view bigger or smaller, depending on what you want. And again, I mentioned in the last video, all you need to do to see what the camera is seeing is view cameras and set the active camera so that you will see exactly what it's seeing in the screen. The same thing goes for the camera as does for the movement. Every time you want to change the camera around, you are going to set a keyframe, so you can right click on it and press insert keyframe every time that you move it. Lastly, when you want the whole train to move, you're just going to select it all like I did here. And again, you're going to set your keyframes on your locations and drag it to where you want it, and set your keyframe again to finish it. So it really isn't hard at all to do simple animations in Blender, especially being able to bring your models into Blender from Studio with one easy import. It's really nice to have that option available. I know I skimmed over some parts of the animation, but as I said, there are a lot of tutorials out there on how to animate in Studio, so take the time to take a look at those. But I hope this has helped you out to be able to create your own animations. In the next video, I'm going to look at some common issues that crop up when beginners are using Studio. So if you know somebody that is just beginning to learn how to use Studio, please pass that on to them, because it's going to be very helpful. If this video has helped you out, please take the time to like and subscribe. And please share it around so that others can benefit from it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Keep dreaming in bricks. Bye-bye.